From his earliest days, man has been a hunter-gatherer, living off the land and the beasts, harnessing the natural instincts of other creatures to help him survive. Many Egyptian gods were a mixture of man and beast and had various functions, from hunting other beasts to gathering human souls. Falcon-headed god Horus, king of the birds, was a symbol of royalty. So was the lion, king of the beasts. Even the humble dung beetle, the scarab, was thought to roll the sun across the sky. The ibis god Thoth represented wisdom. Bastet was the cat-headed goddess of the home, respected for her hunting expertise. As people learned to grow crops, their stores of grain attracted hordes of rats. Wild cats were encouraged to hunt the rats, but other predators were less welcome. The mongoose, traditional enemy of the cobra, was drafted in to get rid of the snakes. Some animal gods assisted people after death. Anubis, with the head of a jackal, was believed to gather human souls, guiding them into the afterlife. This idea probably came from the jackal's habit of sniffing around Egyptian tombs. But the first links between humans and wild dogs were forged much earlier, in prehistoric times. No one is sure how it all began. Perhaps humans scavenged food from wolves. Perhaps it was the other way around. But both man and wolf were meat-eaters, trying to survive in a hostile world, and this common bond drove them to learn from each other's ways. Wolves and humans also have similar social structures, living in large family groups with a dominant male and female. All in all, an alliance made sense, and man and dog formed a unique relationship, one that has lasted for thousands of years and is still developing today. A pup like this was the ancestor of the family pet, man's best friend, but in those days it was still far from tame. Native Americans were probably the first to copy the wolf's hunting tactics, although grey wolves in particular are found in many parts of the world. They're highly successful predators, intelligent with razor-sharp senses. Wolves stalk their prey in a pack, slowly closing in and tightening the noose around the weak or vulnerable. Native Americans use them to round up bison. Exactly how this worked is a mystery. Perhaps the wolves did all the work, or perhaps they were trained to corner the bison while human hunters stepped in at the last minute to make the kill. Either way, there must have been something in it for the wolf as well as man. This partnership is rooted in many native tribes, and over the centuries, numerous myths and legends have sprung up around it. The wolf is often portrayed as a friend to humans. One Japanese myth tells of an old blind man lost on a mountain, who was led to safety by a wolf. But this reputation is misleading. In reality, the wolf is a natural-born killer. against a single wolf, the agile hare might have a chance. Unfortunately, where there's one wolf, there's usually another. Wherever wild dogs have existed, man has tried to bring them to heel. In Morocco, a breed called the slugi is used for coursing, to sight a quarry rather than sniff it out. They're cherished companions and valuable workers. Greyhounds were originally bred for hunting too, but in modern-day Britain, they're kept for racing and gambling. These men may be just as attached to their dogs as the slugi's masters, but this is sport, not survival. The greyhound's prey is a mechanical lure to trigger the urge to give chase. The fake hare does the trick. Greyhounds reach speeds of 45 miles per hour. Like the slugis, they're born to run, with long legs and a big chest, an arched back and lean but power-packed muscles. This is speed and stamina beyond the powers of man, which is why these dogs inspire such respect and admiration in their owners. Success and disappointment. But they have only lost a bet, while he has won a meal. Some animals have always been beyond the reach of ordinary men, their hunting skills reserved for the elite. Indian Moguls employed cheetahs as far back as 300 BC, but cheetah coursing was especially popular from the 15th to the 18th centuries. Many cheetahs were taken from the wild, so men could take advantage of their finely tuned physique and hunting expertise. Fairly easy to tame, the cheetah was hooded and taken out on a collar and chain, ready to be unleashed on its victim. In India, gazelles are the cheetah's natural prey, and they were also favorite targets of the royal sportsmen. Gazelles are impressive sprinters, but they can't match this. The cheetah is the fastest animal on Earth, reaching more than 60 miles per hour. It can only keep it up for around 200 meters, however, and is quickly exhausted. In the days of cheetah coursing, this meant that runaways could be easily recaptured by men on horseback. But if the cheetah brought down the quarry, it was rewarded with a portion of the kill. The falcon has been even more prestigious as a hunting partner. Falconry is one of the oldest sports in the world, dating back to 3000 BC. In modern-day Dubai, it's still a rich man's pursuit. Tethered to a short leather strap called a jess, the falcon wears a leather mask when it's not in action, to keep it calm and easy to handle. A top-class bird is a prized possession, costing as much as $150,000, so it lives a pampered existence, At the end of the winter hunting season, when its owner leaves for cooler climes, it will often travel with him, occupying its own first-class airline seat. In the past, however, Middle Eastern falcons were a hunting tool rather than a plaything. Their natural prey are rabbits, bustards, and other birds. In Europe, falcons represented the class system. In the Middle Ages, there was a clear code laying out which bird could be flown by which rank. The bigger the title, the bigger the bird. A golden eagle for an emperor, a peregrine for a prince. Ordinary folk who hunted to survive were banned from using anything bigger than a hawk. But in fact, a bow and arrow on horseback was often more efficient. Hunting was a serious business, and the horse, man's tried and trusted companion, a vital partner. Many people resorted to poaching on the king's land, a crime punishable by death. But the temptation was great. Large stocks of game were maintained for the sport of the nobility. Inevitably, a lot of this game went astray, going to feed the poor instead of entertain the rich. Food, rather than fun, is what hunting was originally about, and still is in many parts of the world. This hunter in the rainforest of Papua New Guinea is looking for something to eat, with the help of local dogs, rather like Australian dingoes. The dogs help track down a potential meal, in this case a tree kangaroo, and a bow and arrow does the rest. The dogs point their master in the right direction. Expeditions into the jungle can last several days, so the dogs make good company as well as being useful accomplices. Unfortunately, they can't help carry the load. In Africa's Kalahari Desert, a bushman sharpens his spearhead. But a sharp point isn't always enough to ensure his family has enough to eat. Here, villagers rely on one of the smallest creatures to help them catch the bigger ones. First, they have to dig it out. It's the pupae of the African leaf beetle. The pupae are packed with a deadly poison, which comes from the type of leaves eaten by the mother leaf beetle. This poison is used to anoint the shaft of the dart, but not the very tip. The poison is so lethal that the huntsmen daren't risk pricking themselves by accident. Full concentration is essential. When the spear is ready, the hunt can begin. For the prey, death will be swift and certain. But before they make the kill, the hunters will ask for its blessing. In the South American rainforest, the source of the poison is frogs, not beetles. Poison dart frogs. There are hundreds of these small, colorful creatures. But only 3 species, all found in the West Andes region, are collected by the Choco Indians of Colombia. Once found, they must be handled with care. Blowpipe darts are primed by rubbing them across the frog's back, while its abdomen is squeezed to make it excrete the poison through its skin. Unlucky frogs may be heated over an open fire instead, but usually it remains unharmed. It's a valuable resource and will be needed again in the future. Plants, too, can be used as hunting accessories. The Piaroa Indians of Venezuela hunt deep in the Amazon rainforest, in an area known as Waharai Kuawai, the sacred mountain. The Piaroa also use blowpipes, giant ones 3 meters long, and their darts are tipped with curare, a lethal paste produced by boiling strychnos plants. Dead, even before it hits the forest floor. Many of man's best inventions have come from nature. After all, nature often does it better. The Australian nephila, or golden orb spider, produces a fine but super strong silk to spin its giant web and gift wrap its victims. In fact, the nephila's silk is even stronger than steel, which is why it was once so valuable to the fishermen of northern Australia and Papua New Guinea. By bending bamboo poles into a loop, they encourage the nephila to spin its 2-meter web across the circle, creating a kind of fishing net. Fishing has been a staple of the human hunter-gatherer in almost every time and place. On the west coast of Africa, in Mauritania, the Imrigans people use a more conventional net, and it takes a lot of work to keep it in top condition. While they untangle their lines, the Imrigans watch the sea for shoals of mullet and other local fish, ready to spread their nets at a moment's notice. But there's more to this expedition than meets the eye. First, the fishermen beat the water with sticks, summoning their hunting partners, a pod of local dolphins. When they pick up the signal that fishing is due to start, the dolphins race towards the shore, herding the fish straight into the nets. In just a few minutes, the fishermen's nets are full, and there's plenty of food left over for the dolphins. It's a great example of 2 hunter-gatherers, man and dolphin, working together. Even if the shoals don't pass this way again for several weeks, there'll be enough to eat. Everyone wins. Apart from the mullet, of course. Similar bonds between man and beast can be seen all over the globe. Just as on land, we've learned to mobilize the skills of water creatures for our benefit. In India, river otters once herded fish into nets, just as the dolphins do. Otters have special transparent membranes, so they can keep their eyes open underwater. And even in murky conditions, their fine, sensitive whiskers help them to detect prey. They're expert swimmers and can twist and turn on a knife edge. Most fish just can't compete. The otter's abilities made it a part of a long hunting tradition in Vietnam and other parts of Southeast Asia. Like the monkey, it was treated as part of the family and was trained to fish for the family meal. In some areas, this tradition lives on today. Back at the surface, the otter hands over its catch. It'll get a helping later. Making an animal part of the family is a good way to win its trust and cooperation. And monkeys are no exception. In Indonesia, pig-tailed macaques work in the family business, picking coconuts. The macaque and its master sell their services around the islands of Lake Maninjau in Sumatra. In Manang society, monkeys are the only possessions not owned by women, which makes the bond between man and monkey even more important. The Manang depend on coconuts for their income, but coconuts grow in inaccessible places. The solution is to use remote control. A monkey is much better equipped for the job than a man. The macaque uses its hands and feet to twist the stalk until it snaps, sending the coconut plummeting to the ground. It can recognize ripe nuts by their color and knows to leave diseased fruit alone. An expert macaque may gather 800 nuts a day, but life isn't all work and no play. Monkeys are very affectionate and demand plenty of attention in return. Another lake, this time in China, and another family business, but with a few more members. The head of the family hand-rears cormorants straight from the egg, using a technique as old as China itself. From the moment they hatch, The chicks regard him as their master, and now his devotion is paying off. He rocks the boat to stir up fish in the waters beneath. Then his extended family gets to work, doing what comes naturally. But there's always one who wants a day off. Cormorants are superb divers, descending to over 25 meters below the surface and staying underwater for 2 minutes at a time. In the wild, this fish would go down in one, but a ring around the bird's neck prevents it from swallowing. Instead, it passes the fish to the boss. Because the cormorants aren't allowed to eat, they keep on going back for more. Sometimes they're taught to develop a taste for cooked fish and dine back home with the human members of the family. Mutual respect is vital. By treating his birds well, the master may be able to count on them for 20 years. Even much larger animals respond well to the personal touch. Elephant trainers, called mahouts, build up a close relationship with their animals, one that is reinforced by a daily bath and body scrub. It's part of getting the right balance between work and play, for man and beast alike. Discipline and trust are vital. If it wanted to, this elephant could crush its human keeper. But when treated right, it can also be incredibly gentle. In the wild, elephants live in close-knit family groups, and bath time is the social highlight of the day. Continuing this ritual in captivity is a good way of keeping the elephants happy, and more to the point, willing to work. Working elephants once carried big game hunters on tiger shoots. This had two big advantages. First, it was safer 10 feet off the ground, and second, tigers aren't afraid of elephants, so the hunter got a closer shot. Nowadays, elephants are more likely to be employed for their sheer strength, even to lift each other. This wild Indian elephant has caused a lot of damage to local crops. Now she's being moved to a less populated area. Persuading the troublemaker into a truck isn't easy, but the presence of tame elephants helps to keep her calm, as well as providing a nudge in the right direction. She's still not happy about the move, but it's for her own good. There's just no room for her and local farmers. As early humans moved from growing crops to raising domestic herds, one animal in particular became a vital companion: the horse. The instant the first man climbed on a horse's back and tried to bend it to his will, a unique partnership was born. Today, all over the world, horses help us control other beasts, while we control them. In Brazil, as in many parts of the Americas, the cowboy has grown larger than life, firmly fixed in our imagination. By dominating the spirit of the horse, he embodies the spirit of adventure. Horses helped humans to master their environment. 4 hooves can cover a lot more ground than 2 feet. But a horse is a luxury many people can't afford. In Madagascar, for example, herdsmen have only long sticks to prod their cattle into line. Sometimes cattle, beasts of burden, are our closest allies, and anything that threatens them becomes the enemy. In Africa, that includes the lion. For the Maasai tribe, killing a lion is a symbol of manhood. To the Dayak of Borneo, on the other hand, pigs are precious. Pigs can't carry humans or their burdens, but they have 2 other advantages. They'll eat almost anything, and they're a great source of food themselves. Pigs usually end up as pork. But in the West, a pampered few escape their fate by helping with a rather exclusive form of hunting. This woman is seeking the perfect partner, and the pig with the best nose wins. This one stands out from the crowd, and its superior snout is taken for a walk in the woods. Female pigs are particularly good at this job, because to them, what they're looking for smells like a male pig. It's found underground. This could be it. Once the prize is unearthed, it's quickly retrieved. There's a lot of money at stake here. This bag full of brown fungi is worth a small fortune, because these are truffles, a gastronomic treat in France and other parts of Europe. Connoisseurs known as truffle fanciers gather at special fairs to trade the many different varieties. Nowadays, dogs often replace pigs on the truffle trail, but these pedigree pups have more important work to do. They're English sheepdogs, part of an ancient tradition dating back to at least 1000 BC, and they're already showing the qualities that make them valuable to man. The most promising pups have energy, spirit, and intelligence, and can be trained to demonstrate incredible obedience and self-control. This adult border collie can't wait to get to work. He's got his dream job. He's doing what he does best, using herding instincts passed down from his ancestors, the wolves. This is the pack leader. He uses a system of calls and whistles to communicate his orders. The farmer is using the natural skills of wild dogs everywhere. Like wolves in a pack, the collies focus on vulnerable animals, or those on the fringes of the flock, and get them back in line. If these were wolves and bison, the picture would be the same. But in this case, the dogs are trained to show their teeth, but never to use them. One Man and His Dog is an enduring image of rural Britain. In Namibia, sheepdogs take a different approach. They mingle with the flock. Mastins are large and aggressive, and they need to be. They might have to ward off lions. Mastins are bred to look like sheep, partly to calm the real sheep and partly to stop them being confused with canine predators such as wolves, hyenas or jackals. Otherwise, a herdsman might shoot his sheepdog by mistake. Domesticating one animal always attracts others, pests, drawn by the promise of an easy meal. Rabbits, introduced to New Zealand in the 1940s, reached plague proportions, sparking a massive cull. Rabbits breeding like rabbits is an age-old problem, and another solution is to send their natural predators after them. Farmer Sadie James from Dorset, England, keeps the local rabbit population down by breeding other small furry creatures. Ferrets. She keeps around 30 ferrets in her backyard and takes them out a few at a time on pest control missions. Ferrets have a rather unsavory reputation. They're often seen as savage and smelly, but in fact they can make docile, entertaining pets. They were once kept for hunting and were referred to as the poor man's hound. Ferrets may not be as glamorous as falcons, but they too are expert predators. In this situation, however, they're normally used to flush out the rabbits rather than to kill them. First, Sadie spreads nets over all but one of the entrances to the rabbit's burrow, blocking their escape routes. Time to send in the secret weapon. The ferrets wear a radio collar, so Sadie can keep tabs on them while they're underground. But they're not likely to run away. They're all hand-picked for the right temperament. Slow, stupid ferrets are actually best for ferreting. As long as they grasp the basic idea. Ferreting is another tradition of the British countryside. In the old days, just like today, the fleeing rabbits were usually finished off by guns or gun dogs. Dogs still play an important part in dealing with British pests, and some are specially bred for the chase, as well as retrieving the kill. Foxhounds. Fox hunting is often also the social highlight of the week. While the redcoats take charge, others sip port or whiskey to keep them warm. As the hounds and houndsmen head for the starting point, riders of all ages and backgrounds gather to enjoy the atmosphere. The hounds are kept at bay with calls and whistles until the huntsman blows his horn and they take the lead. The hounds disperse, trying to pick up the fox's scent. Fox hunting is one of the more controversial forms of hunting. It has always been associated with the ruling classes and is sometimes seen as a blood sport rather than an efficient way to control the fox population. For the fox, it's just life or death. Sometimes, the best methods of pest control are the simplest, and they're usually based on how things happen in the wild. Another noble sport has been updated for this purpose: falconry. This is only a Harris hawk, but it's more than capable of doing the job in hand. Once a week, it's brought to the home of Reading Football Club, Medeski Stadium. The hawk's task is to rid the stadium of roosting pigeons, and it does that just by being there. One glimpse of this is enough to persuade the pigeons to find somewhere else to call home. It's less destructive than chemical pesticides and a lot less unsightly than chicken wire. A couple of laps are more than enough. Not a pigeon in sight, and not a drop of blood spilt. A lazy bird is best, one happy to eat from human hands and unlikely to go on a killing rampage. In former times, the hawk's hunting instincts were exploited by man, but it was also a status symbol, there to make its owner look good. Today, it's there to make buildings look good. But a bird will never be as important in human lives as that first companion, the dog. In man's long history as a hunter-gatherer, no other creature has rivaled the role of the dog as helper, hunter, and working partner. Even today, this relationship is branching out in new directions and proving that the dog is still man's best friend. In the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, golden retrievers go where few dogs have gone before. As members of the K9 rescue team, they help to sniff out avalanche victims. A dog's sense of smell is thousands of times more powerful than ours, and in snow, that's vital. When an avalanche strikes, every second counts. Victims are often buried alive, and rescue teams have only about half an hour to find them. After that, it's usually too late. The canine retrievers are calm and adaptable, and have a one-to-one relationship with their handler. In an emergency, this total trust is essential. At the avalanche site, the canine crew quickly pick up the scent of survivors under the snow. Then their retrieval instincts come into play.
Okay, we're good. All right.
Ready to the work? Let's search. I've got an alert here, Kevin.
For anyone trapped deep below the surface, this is the best chance of survival.
Send him in, Dick. Get in there, Ace. Good boy.
Good dogs.
Yeah, let's get a strike. What do you got? Good. Good boy.
A very welcome sight.
Good boy. All right, Peter, let's bring that back forward. Okay, I got one guy. I'm bringing him out. Okay, come on.
Once the victim has been found, the human members of the team take over. But they couldn't have done it without their canine companions.
Michael, why don't you give me a hand? Set it right there. Don't worry about strapping him in.
Being a hunter-gatherer can mean many things, even fetching a mobile phone. For Ian, who has been paralyzed for 13 years, Charlie, the golden retriever, is a lifeline of a different kind. Retrievers, and some other breeds, make ideal partners for the disabled because of their intelligence, loyalty, and gentle natures. At the headquarters of Canine Partners for Independence in Hampshire, England, they're trained to handle many of the things their owners can't. It takes around 18 months and £5,000 to train each dog, and so far 26 have been paired with human partners. The dogs are taught to be calm and controlled under stress, but they must also be naturally curious and tolerant to start off with. Charlie helps Ian with many day-to-day chores, including doing the laundry.
There you go. Good boy. Fix him. Fix him. Good boy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
More importantly, he's a constant friend and companion, at home and outside. Doing the shopping is one of the tasks Ian would find very difficult alone. But thanks to Charlie's retrieval skills, it's not a problem. Instead of hunting rabbits or rounding up sheep, Charlie's job is to gather chocolate biscuits and tinned vegetables. To Ian, he's indispensable. The message on Charlie's bib tells other people he's busy and shouldn't be patted or distracted. But when the bib comes off, he knows it's the end of another working day for man and beast.